If you've ever watched any of my videos, you know that one of my favorite things to do in any city that I visit, whether it be domestic or international, is to get around and do some exploring by bike. One of the reasons I like going around by bike is I feel it's the most environmentally friendly way to get around and see a city. Let's go into these two tours that I took in Barcelona and highlight the differences between the two. The very first bike tour that I ever took in a foreign country happened to be in Barcelona, and me and my wife opted for an e-bike tour. The nice thing about e-bike tours, and they are growing in popularity, is they're a good equalizer. So if you and the people that you're traveling with, let's say for instance you're a very high level of cyclist, but maybe the people that you're riding with, they just like to ride for fun, don't worry, that e-bike assist is going to help them keep up with you. The nice thing about these tours is that they can last anywhere from about 3 hours, maybe 4, and there's a lot of stop and go. So you'll meet at your starting place, your tour guide will introduce themselves, they'll talk a little bit about the ride, and then you'll ride maybe 5, usually no more than 10 minutes, and then you'll get to the next destination on the tour. And every operator that I've been with, the tour guide will talk a little bit about the historical or cultural significance of that stop, and usually allow for everybody enough time to get off their bike, take pictures, selfies, videos, whatever it is you want, and then resume along the way. You're never going to get too burned out, even if you're not in the best bike shape of your life. And again, you've always got that assist with the e-bike to help you keep up with the group. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is helmets. Now, the good news is that because these are all professional operators, and even though the laws may vary from not just country to country, but also city to city, you don't have to worry about packing your helmet. The best thing about group rides is that you can cover so much city in a relatively short amount of time. You get a fair amount of exercise, but also know this, because they're e-bikes, and even if they weren't, a lot of these cities are relatively flat. These routes are designed for the tourists. These are meant to appeal to everybody from all ages and abilities. Bottom line is, if you know how to ride a bike, you'll do just fine on a bike tour. Do your research before you sign up, though, and make sure that if you're going somewhere where you don't know the language, that the guide can speak in your language. Click on the descriptions, read reviews. Reviews can be very helpful. I tend to use TripAdvisor as my primary go-to, but I'll also check other sites as well to see if there's other options out there. By doing other Google searches, that's how I end up finding Montefusco Cycling out of Barcelona. What makes Montefusco different is the variety of options that they offer. So I was looking, for instance, for something a little bit more challenging on one of my visits to Barcelona. I wanted to see if there's a tour operator that could give me a bigger challenge to challenge my fitness a little bit more. And boy, did I get a fitness challenge. I decided to opt for Montefusco's Hills of Barcelona. And the hills did not disappoint. Claudio reached out with email and he took care of everything. He asked me if there was a specific type of pedal that I wanted. He asked me what size I was so he could bring me the right bike. And he also asked if I wanted to stop for lunch along the way. The day before, asked where I was, and he drove to my hotel and picked me up. From there, Claudio did everything that he said. We started out with a really nice long warm-up on the flat area before we started the climbs, and I saw some parts outside of Barcelona that I probably never would have apart from driving past it on a train, a high-speed train at 100 kilometers an hour or so. So be able to soak up all of the area. I can tell you this, I definitely expect to ride with Claudio on another visit. So what are some of the key differences between the two? I think they're fairly obvious. With a city ride or a city bike tour, you're not going to go very far. You're not going to rack up a lot of miles, and it's a very low impact way of getting in some exercise, covering a lot of ground, but you're mostly going to be seeing highlights in the city. The cost is obviously lower. I'll have to go back and double check, but I think we paid about between 30 and 40 euro each. Claudio was more expensive. What I didn't realize until after I completed the booking, that it was just him and I. I had basically purchased a private bike tour. That was approximately 180 euro or US dollars. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then I had to pay extra, obviously, for the lunch, That is not included. Claudio does give you the option. You don't necessarily have to have lunch with him, but it's a really nice place that he chose for us to stop at. It was a bike shop run by a former Italian cyclist. What I really want to emphasize, though, is that if you've got itching to get out on your bike or on a bike, there's plenty of options out there. I'm just highlighting 2 instances that I experienced firsthand, and I'm sharing them with you. Did I like the city tour group ride in Barcelona? Absolutely. And in fact, that's probably always going to be the first choice that I do when I go to a city that I've never been to before. Again, just to get a good lay of the land, get a feel for the layout of the city, and just, quite frankly, see how friendly it is to bicycles. The best things about going with a private tour operator is that you have a lot more choices available. If we just take a look at Montefusco's website, you can see that there are all sorts of rides available. I just happened to pick what I think was probably the hardest one, but it was totally worth it. And as I said before, I would not hesitate to go with Claudio again. So it's just my recommendation that anytime you're going to a new city, if you want to get out and do some exploring, especially if you like biking and cycling, find a local tour operator. They can usually be had for anywhere from $20 to $40, depending on the length of the tour, the type of bike. You can just get a better sense of scale for the city and the attitude towards cyclists as well. So I hope you found this information helpful if you are going to Europe anytime soon. If you've got some other recommendations of tour operators that you've had great experiences with, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.